and Power, and I'm Summer Al-Shahat. On today's program, Egypt's seeds of change.
يوم اتوقع انه اكبر بكتير من يوم ال 25 لان الحشد كبير جدا على الانترنت وعلى الرسائل وحتى الناس في الشارع بتتكلم بصوره كبيره.
It's widely accepted that the spark for the recent dramatic events in Egypt came from last month's uprising in Tunisia. If people power could bring down one despotic regime, so the thinking went, then perhaps it could do the same elsewhere. Many of the necessary conditions were already in place. Public fury at years of political repression, an economy that rewarded a corrupt elite and kept a majority in poverty, and widespread loathing for a leader clinging to office. But could Egyptians be persuaded to overcome 30 years of fear and apathy and take to the streets? Well, it's no accident that that question was answered emphatically. Over the first remarkable 10 days of the protest, people in power filmed exclusively and behind the scenes with a core group of young activists from the April 6th opposition movement. As Elizabeth Jones reveals, they had spent many months planning and organizing for these momentous times, even taking lessons from other revolutions about how to mobilize popular support.
They say it's been a leaderless revolution, but somewhere in the side streets of Cairo, there are leaders, and they're planning.
وفي الاخر الناس كلها بتتكلم على الشباب ومفيش جايه ممثله على الشباب غيرنا، فالمفروض يكون احنا الفتره الجايه او الفتره الحاليه احنا الممثلين واحنا اللي بنتكلم عن مطالب الشباب الفتره اللي هو عدم ترشح يعني مبارك وابنه عدم ترشح مبارك وابنه اللي هو يعني مش اصلاحات يعني اجراءات فوريه مع وعد بعدم ترشح مبارك وابنه حل مجلس الشعب قانون طوارئ حريه انشاء الاحزاب اصلاحات دستوريه وسياسيه آنية يعني مش هنتكلم بقى ايه هو انا وعدكم ان احنا هنعمل الفتره الجايه لا دلوقتي.
Ahmed Maher is the leader of this April 6th youth movement, the main instigator of this revolution, and the one to whom they turn.
لان في ناس بتتصل تقول انا مش هقدر انزل ابقى حاضر في البيت.
السويس في مصنع كبير يعني هناك اعلن اضراب عن العمل لحد ما مبارك يمشي. لو قدرنا نوصل الكلام ده لاضراب في المحله واضراب عمال في
In the street below their ad hoc offices, the revolution they spawned is in full swing. April 6th and their charismatic leaders have been directing the uprising from the start. They've brought a sense of freedom and unity to the streets of Egypt.
You know everyone.
Yeah?
You know everyone.
He's a friend in the same political area.
The fact they've brought the aging president to the brink of departure is almost unbelievable. They're excited at the prospect of change after 30 years. There's almost a carnival atmosphere, but this is not a spontaneous uprising. The revolution has been in the making for 3 years. It was at a textile strike in 2008 that the April 6th youth movement was born. Ahmed Maher had enlisted support for the workers on his Facebook site, gaining 70,000 followers. The demonstration was the biggest Egypt had seen in years and inspired the creation of the April 6th youth movement. They began work mobilizing for democratic change. They've been trying to get people on the streets ever since. It's not easy in politically apathetic Egypt, the population worn down by decades living in fear under a corrupt, repressive regime. With no history of dissent in Egypt, Ahmed Maher looked outside for help, to people who'd successfully overthrown dictators, like Otpor, the Serbian student movement that toppled Slobodan Milosevic. Serge Popovic was leader of that revolution. He shared his first-hand experience with April 6th.
One of the key things is to understand that the nonviolent struggle is a form of warfare. Nonviolent discipline, this is key. Because violence contaminates your movement and creates your opponent excuse for using police and military forces. Also, there is this big problem with media and violence. If you have a march of 100,000 people and one single idiot throwing stone, he's going to be the star of the day. And this is how media operate. So you need to avoid this violence in many different ways, and this is specifically crucial at this stage.
اولا اتدربنا في صربيا، اتدربنا على فكره ان احنا ايه هو مفهوم العنف، ازاي نقدر نحرك الجماهير بجد على عمل عنيف، وازاي ان احنا نقدر نساوي دوت، نقدر نتحكم في الناس، نقدر ننظم مسيرات وفعاليات كويسه.
Mohammed Adel came back from Serbia with videos and teaching aids. Popovic, in his own voice, explaining tactics. The keys to success are unity, discipline, and planning. Keep people engaged with chants and slogans, and be clear in your aims. It appears to work. It all started to come together 2 weeks ago. It's a public holiday in Egypt, a day to celebrate the police. But today is a police day with a difference.
اصلا كان يوم 25 احنا بنعمله كل سنه، بيعملوا بيعملوا كل سنه حاجه ساخره من الشرطه. عملنا بيان وزعناه في الشارع ان ده ازاي يحتفلوا بالبلطجيه والحراميه واللي بيساعدوا على التزوير والكلام ده كله. ولكن ما حدث في تونس غير المسار بالكامل.
This year the timing couldn't have been happier for the organizers. A few days ago, Tunisian people power ousted the country's dictator. The response in Egypt is beyond Ahmed Maher's dreams. Tens of thousands have come out to join the April 6th youth movement in Cairo, and there are similar family-friendly marches in Alexandria, Suez, and Mansoura. But not everyone is happy. The police are in no mood to celebrate. April 6th is well versed in the tactics of non-violent conflict. They hold their hands up in compliance, they salute, and even hug the police. Protesters are headed to iconic Tahrir Square. They are largely young, educated, computer-literate crowd.
I heard about April 6th from Facebook. I'm not into politics. I wanted to do something for my country, something positive. That's the happiest day in my life.
The protesters don't want to go home. Many seem determined to continue, camped out for the night. Some say that what happened in Tunisia can't happen in Egypt. These people don't appear to have heard. April 6th has scrambled to set up the secret headquarters, a nerve center for what they are starting to call the revolution. It's a borrowed office, and it's rapidly turning into an operation room for something bigger than even they could have hoped for.
مصر قديمه بعد صلاه الجمعه. دلوقتي خلاص مفيش حاجه دلوقتي، يعني اقرب حاجه ليك مصر قديمه، جامع عمرو في مصر قديمه.
Ahmed Maher is coordinating his people, conscious of the responsibility on his shoulders.
ممكن على اخر النهار او على اخر اليوم النهارده مثلا بالليل كده اكون قلت لك يعني.
في نفس الوقت هنستمر في ضغوطنا المستمره من اجل ان احنا نحصل تغيير حقيقي، مش مجرد وعود زي كل وعود، لازم يحصل تغيير حقيقي. الناس مش تخرج من الشارع غير ما يحصل تغيير حقيقي في مصر.
It's now Thursday night. Tens of thousands of protesters have been on the streets since Tuesday. There have been clashes with police and some arrests. Ahmed Maher is, as ever, on his computer, communicating with his activists online. It turns out his right-hand man, Mohammed Adel, has been arrested. In his other life, Ahmed Maher is a professional man, married with a child.
أنا بشتغل مهندس مدني ودارس إدارة مشروعات، يعني ممكن يكون دوت ليه سبب، وبرضه الحاجة أم الاختراع زي ما بيقولوا يعني. الحاجة بكون مثلا محتاج أعمل حاجة معينة بتعلمها يعني مع الوقت، خصوصا أنا كمان مش حد إداري، ولكن يعني التعامل مع الناس والتعامل مع الناس كويس.
He'll need those skills with possibly hundreds of thousands expected on the streets tomorrow, and politicians from all opposition factions getting in on the act.